All right, what's going on, everybody? Good evening. Underground World News Live. Here on this October 9th, 2024. IB Rules, thank you right out the gate for the super chat. I appreciate it to the fullest. I hope all is well. For those listening, we've a lot of people out there in a bad position here tonight with the hurricane, tornadoes, everything else going on. People still reeling from the last hurricane. People still missing from the last hurricane. Thank you for the feedback. Judge Britt, Jim West, Gabe, the Rich Prophet House Walk with God, Pixie, Kathy, good to see everybody. Rev, Kathy, Raymond, Joe, it's good to see everybody, man. Gabe, much love. Right back at you. I want to thank everyone that shares the stream. Boston checking in. My fellow knights. Got a lot to cover here, as always. If you've got anything you need to get to me, the email is dabu7@yahoo.com. You can @ me in the chat. I'm trying to watch the chat. We are exclusive here on YouTube. I'll be keeping an eye on the chat and then covering these articles along the way. Christ is King. Shep Hemp. Again, I want to thank everyone that shares the stream, gets it out there in front of eyes that I can't reach. And prayers going out to everyone out there involved in this. I mean, we've got some of our peoples out there that tune in all the time, that are caught up in this, that are not with us here tonight because they're having to flee, or so many different people doing different things. And we still got the situation, obviously, ongoing with the rescue and cleanup in Carolinas, Tennessee, and all those towns that got hit by the last hurricane. Before I get into that, I'm going to start off here with a space update. We've been having a lot of X flares. We had an X7, I think it was an X9, that popped off recently, and now we've just had another one, X1.8. But don't be fooled by the lower number, because this was Earth directed, coming from Sunspot AR3848, and it was directly facing us. These are the ones that you don't want to have being powerful. We've seen X9s, like I said here recently, but they did not hit us head on. This one is like, it's going to serve up a G4 class geomagnetic storm when it arrives. That is severe. Talk more about that here in a second. I want to show the image here of Atlas approaching the sun. This lit up huge. This is from the Soho camera. I tell you all the time, whenever you hear me mention the Soho cameras, Lasco 2 or 3, this is what I'm talking about. They give you images and you stitch them together and you hit play. And what you see, to me, it's a superhighway of life and stuff everywhere. And you can see it. It's not hidden. It's all over the place. Now, if it was all some kind of just ice or something like that, no matter what it is, it should be gravitationally attracted to our sun, just like this comet is. It just shows you how much stuff has got to be that far out, all over the place. And yeah, this one is going to be one to see in the coming days. As we start to get images of this, I'll update. And can't really see it here in this shot, but it's expected to really brighten in the coming days. also with this incoming CME, they're saying that this incoming bit of energy could cut off the tail of this comet. That sounds kind of crazy, but this happened back in '07. Comet McNaught in broad daylight. It was clipped. It had its tail chopped off. It's pretty crazy. But this one could follow the same path, potentially. If it does get chopped off, it's going to take away from the effect of its brightness and everything else. But remember, they just announced another comet that's incoming, and it's going to brighten in the second half of this month. So we've got one right now that's lit up. You can see in the skies. Well, here in the coming days, you'll be able to see it better as it crosses past the sun. Yeah, man, you got clear skies out there and a chance to check this stuff out. You don't get to see stuff like this too often. And we've got another near-Earth object coming in tonight, closer than the moon, at 0.6 LD. Now, real quick, look what it says here. This is from the NOAA, the same ones that were just flying a huge question mark around the Gulf. This crazy pattern. As this hurricane made its way in and started to fire up and intensify. Well, they warn that this super fast Earth-facing CME erupted from the sun with speeds of 1,200 to 1,300 kilometers a second, and that this is going to spark a G4 geomagnetic storm on Thursday, potentially disrupting critical assets on the grid that are crucial for powering modern society. That's one. Yeah. So, potentially disrupting critical assets on the grid that are crucial for powering modern society. So, just a heads up, you never know what they're going to throw at us. We talk about pulling the plug, EMPs, CMEs. Hey, when the grid goes down, you better be ready. Said it a million times and even made a song on it. There's just too many chances for this to happen, for our grid to have something hit it, whether it is from an EMP, electromagnetic pulse, or a hemp pulse, whether it's a CME that comes in from the sun, which they have no control over, but it could affect a lot of things, big time. Okay, so you've got those instances, and then you've got a cyber attack, or them just pulling the plug. So that's three legit things that could affect our power grid at any moment. And the sun, dialing up one right now, spitting out just a X19, so let's say X2. I think I got 1.8 there. But I believe that the sun is going to continue popping off these shots. So keep an eye on it. Got the incoming energies. That means there's an potential uptick in earthquake activity, also volcanic activity. In my oh my, let's turn toward the hurricane now. Milton, barreling toward Tampa. It just made landfall here shortly, just not long ago. This thing bringing severe storm surge to the area. If you're down there in Florida and you're in the chat, let me know where you're at, what all you guys are seeing, the situation around you. We had a tornado emergency earlier, and I did a separate stream on that. That was pretty crazy. They were popping up all over the place. When you look back at how many, it was dozens and dozens from earlier. But you could see here, it says that it was coming in at a Cat 5. It dropped down to Cat 4, made landfall at Cat 3, but don't be fooled by that, man. This thing wasn't Cat anything, or Helene wasn't when it was inland over top of all these states dumping all this rain. And strong wind coming in here. Thank you, LB. Much love. Thank you for the coffees there, LB. Also, on the other stream, I had the Radar Omega pulled up with all the alerts. I don't have it pulled up right now because I want to make sure everything is flowing and streaming good here. So we'll check out some images here, though, and some video of what's going on. If you guys missed it, let me play this right here. This kind of says it all in terms of what you're facing down there. If you waited. At this point, if you're down there, you hear my voice and you're trying to get out of there, just let you know that Ron DeSantis, the governor, has said that they think that now it's a little too late to try to get out. You need to hunker down, is what they're saying. Wherever you're at, try to hunker down, get this thing out. So I'm going to show you an example of what the storm surge can do right here.
3 feet above normally dry ground, water is already life-threatening. It's too late to evacuate. Water this high can knock you off your feet, make cars float, and driving impossible. The first floor of homes and businesses are flooded. Unfortunately, the water is expected to rise even higher at 6 feet above the height of most people. Vehicles get carried away, structures start to fail. Just look at this. Anything could be in this water, sharp glass, debris, chemicals as well. The scary part is some areas could see surge values at 10 to 15 feet. And this takes us up to 9. And look what it does. At this level, the first floors of structures are completely flooded, and there are few places that it is safe when the water rises this high. We want everyone to know their evacuation zone.
So that's crazy. That line up above our head is just 9 feet in. It's just crazy. 15 feet, double that. Hard to imagine. So it looks like this thing's going to shoot across at this point and potentially fire back up to a Cat 1, but it's going to head back out to sea. From what we see right now, if it does something crazy and hooks back up north or something stupid, I don't even know what to say at that point. We'll cover it, won't be on top of it, but nothing would surprise me at this point. We had evacuation orders pretty much mandatory all the way down that west coast till you got to the Everglades and down near Miami. Although it was voluntary there, mandatory, Pinellas, everywhere that's getting hammered right now as I speak. You can see all the people that were trying to get out of there. The word was that a lot of the gas stations were out of gas on 75. Which is just crazy. I heard stories of people's batteries dying, which was highly suspicious because they were saying that this was happening in mass. That this was going down in mass, and that what could cause that? What's going to cause in their cars when they go to flee to die and not work? Highly suspicious, if you ask me. Much love, T. White. Hoodie. yeah, man. So again, if you got friends, family, or anyone down here, check in on 'em. On the last stream, I was showing where all the tornadoes were, and they were hitting all the way up the eastern seaboard there on the eastern side of Florida. Let's go down through here. Man, I'm gonna live updates. Man, the shots it seems that they got here. Let's see what they got here. Wow, Jim Cantore and the port of Charlotte. Okay, so let's see if south of Siesta Key, they're I guess geeking out. It's going to be pretty bad there. Storm surge, which is a shame at this point. I mean, Florida power outages topping 540,000 customers. It came to shore with winds at 120 mile an hour, and they can be the deadliest and the worst on the back end of it. The front end will spin up these tornadoes, as we saw earlier. And I'm going to share with you some footage. Here's some, and then I've got more. We're just going to check out different clips here. This is Fort Myers. They say possible tornado. A lot of these radar indicated, and then some of them observed. Got that volume turned down low on that. Oh. There it is. Look how violent this gets. I mean, it got pretty violent. And that was the tornado side of it being spun up. I think I had 9 warnings pulled up earlier. And this is just scrolling down through as it came through. Look at that. That is from the tornado warnings earlier, the totals. They came through. It started over here, and they rode with the bands as these bands were going through. And it's wild. There was a bunch of water spouts that spun up as well off the coast. You know, tornadoes out in the water. That's a lot. That is a lot of tornadoes. Look at all those tornado warnings. It was crazy. That's why I went live. There was an emergency. Port St. Lucie, some of these other places. Guys, I'm telling you what, they're getting 1-2 for all the people that didn't get out of here or whatever, or maybe they did. But I'm about to share with you some footage of the destruction. Go on to this next one. I'm going to pull up the Twitter feed here in just a second. First, I got to point this out. This is being shared out there if you guys didn't see. This person, or these people, strapped their freaking house down to the ground. Look at that. Literally strapped it down to the ground. You don't see that every day, but they prepped in that manner. Hey, I guess it's worth a shot. When you don't want to lose everything. But all kinds of people, you can see repeated tweets about that. And they're projecting here that this could trigger $175 billion in the worst case damage scenarios. So we'll pull up feed here. And some of the shots, storm surge. Right there, you can see already several feet right there. This was before dark, so it's dark now. I'm going to say all this is much higher. And, yeah. Shout outs to all the chasers, storm chasers that are out there on the ground. Some of them out there that were getting this footage. Letting us know what's going on. Oh, yeah, and Biden took from a small desk earlier again. This is what people are seriously saying. Is this dude not in power anymore? Like, what is going on? Like, he's not even in the Oval Office or nothing. He's at this tiny desk. Yep, he's back at the tiny desk. And he called this the storm of the century. Storm of the century. Making comments like that just doesn't bode well for what's going on here. All right, check this out. This is tornado damage. Look at this. Tornado damage. Cars flipped in the driveway. I mean, just hammered. All these places destroyed. That's what I mean when I'm trying to tell you that they're getting a 1-2 punch. Palm Beach Gardens, the Avenir neighborhood, is where this was right here. This guy, look, all the vehicles just hammered. A war zone. And there's that storm surge. This is even more. This is St. Lucie County Sheriff's Office. Look at that. Look at all the vehicles. They ain't getting out anytime soon to help anyone. Dozens and dozens. Even their boat smashed. Look at that. That's from tornadoes. Not even per se the hurricane. Here's more. More destruction. Look at, there's a door up in the freaking tree. Did you see that? Back that up. Right there. Door up in the tree. Again, these are the frontline tornadoes that keep the East Coast in this tornado emergency and destroyed this stuff. I want to play this clip. If you guys didn't see it, this is worth playing and worth you guys seeing. This sheriff, this is the kind of sheriff that I think that we should all have. He's pissed off because of the Biden regime's response to all this, and rightfully so. He says it how it is. So, this is what you want to hope, that when you got a good sheriff in town, you want to hope that he's something similar to this. Not tyrannical, but actually standing for the people.
I was going to say something about Biden and Harris.
Yes, what were you going to say? Oh.
But I don't like to curse. I'm scared there'll be little ears listening.
But if you had a message for the White House and how they've handled the situation up here in North Carolina, what would your message be, Sheriff Wright?
If you're going to do the things you've been talking about doing, we just send you stay out of the way and let the good men and women around the mountain area and the foothills take care of our own, because you're nothing more than a boat anchor.
No help? FEMA hasn't been helpful?
Wait a minute. That lady that's running for president talks about the $750. Well, but all that money you give to Ukraine and all these other people that really want to kill us, don't want to do anything to help us, why don't you just give that money to them? That's who you want to give it to begin with.
And a lot of people have been turned down for the $750. Almost everybody I've spoken to hasn't received any of the funding, and they've been turned down for personal items.
Well, they talked about get on your phone or your computer. Do you not see what the devastation is? They don't have a phone or a computer.
There's nothing up here. There's no communication. I'm going to be posting this later. There's no way to access the internet unless you have a Starlink net. And everybody's...
Thank you, Elon Musk, by the way.
Oh, yes, thank you, Elon Musk.
President Donald Trump, we need you.
What are the... Yes, that's...
Only reason they were getting the stream out in any communications is because of Starlink. That's it. In these crazy disasters, when infrastructure gets flattened, you know, it's showing time and time again in these emergency situations that it's critical. It's something that you may want to incorporate if you got the money and you got the means and you're trying to get a master plan together for survival right now. It's something that I would think about. I mean, you could just use it to replace your normal internet as is, but if you got one you can take with you, go mobile, you can't beat it. You can take it down into anywhere. If you've got to flee and move, anywhere you got to go to higher ground, whatever it is, you have that connection. That's the beautiful thing about Starlink. It's that full-scale internet from anywhere on the freaking planet. That was really never possible till now. Yeah, people had Dish and all this stuff back in the day, but it ain't like this. I mean, this is like personal Dish, I guess, you know, from anywhere. Just to set it up, align it, run everything, and like you're good to go. If they didn't have it and they were not utilizing it right now, we'd be in the dark on so much of this stuff. Here's more storm surge. You can see right there, just coming in. You know, is this survivable? Yeah, that's survivable storm surge. But it's crippling. This is where it starts to take out cars, things of that nature. If you didn't see my image tonight, my image showed, I think it was $700 checks from Maui, cut from the government. $750 checks cut from North Carolina. Ukraine gets like $23 billion. Sick. Yeah. You know. The next one here says Disney itself is going to take like a $200 million hit. Oh, well. Oh, well. Meteorologist. This is a very interesting one. Because, look, I'm telling you. There's weaponry out there full scale. And, yeah, it's just now starting to bear down on other parts of Florida. So, if this is happening right now, yes, and again, prayers going out to every person out there that needs them in this situation, that's for sure. But meteorologist in the story, this seems like a damage control type of story. So I look at it and it says meteorologists are getting death threats as Hurricane Milton conspiracy theories thrive. And I'm like, oh, well, that's a pretty bold statement. Yeah, that's pretty bold to say right there. So who's threatening who? Well, I'm going to tell you right now, they never showed any proof of anyone threatening anyone. They never showed any proof of anything. So this is what they say. This is how it goes. And see, you got to have the eyes to see. If you got the eyes to see, you can pick this apart and you can see what they're doing. It says, as Hurricane Milton approaches Florida, meteorologists are staying awake for days at a time trying to get vital, life-saving information out to the folks who will be affected, which in many instances, that's true. That's their job. But this year, it says several of them tell Rolling Stone that they're increasingly having to take time out to quell the nonstop flow of misinformation during a particularly traumatic hurricane. And some of them are doing it while being personally threatened. And they go on to say here that people are just so far gone It's honestly making me lose all my faith in humanity. And this is a DC-based meteorologist. He says this in a phone interview. There's so much bad information floating around out there that the good information has become obscured, is what he's saying. He says that he's noticed an enormous change on social media in the last 3 months. Seemingly overnight, ideas that once would have been ridiculed as fringe and outlandish are suddenly becoming mainstream, and it's making my job much more difficult. Let me stop right there. They are pissed because so many people are awakening. Do you not see it? They are pissed that people are seeing that they're using the weather as a weapon. En masse. Large scale. And it's becoming more and more and more obvious. So they're in damage control. And that's all this whole article is. And keep that in mind. I'm going to repeat this and then continue on here. So he says, overnight, the very fringe viewpoints become mainstream and it's making his job difficult. He says, meteorologists and disaster relief experts have to strike a balance between putting out helpful, high-quality information while also squashing misinformation. Nowadays, there's so much bad information out there that if we spend our time getting rid of it, we'd have no more time. Okay? Then, he says, this hurricane season, Capucci and other meteorologists say that conspiracy theories have been flooding their inboxes. And notice they're saying conspiracy theories, like there's a whole bunch of these things or something going on. But this is what they say now. The main one that people seem to latch onto is the accusation that the government can control the weather. This story seems to be amplified with climate change creating worsening storms combined with the tense election year. Are you kidding? Do you see what they just did there? Do you see what they just did there for all the sheep that they gobble us up? They just came out and they're trying to say that they're being threatened by the truth. They're being threatened because people are speaking about weather control and manipulation, which we have CIA former head Brennan on film admitting all this stuff. And dude, this goes all the way back to before I was even born. Vietnam. It's well documented. You can get it in any library and look it up online. There was an operation, Popeye, all these operations that they went through, they cloud seeded, and the purpose was to muddy the terrain and make all the opposition, the Vietnamese vehicles, get stuck in the mud and all this other stuff. They used it as a weapon. They were using it as a weapon then. Well, you think you just don't do it now? Like, get out of here. It's like on steroids. They can steer these things. They have HARP. They have ionospheric heaters. But apparently, that's all conspiracy. It don't exist, which is a lie because it's very real. Very real. You just do your research, you'll see it's very real. Very real setup, very real place, very real technology that has a very real purpose, blasting the upper ionosphere with energy. And do you know what happens when you do that at the heart of a storm? You fuel it. And not only that, they can create high and low pressure boundaries. And you can control the jet stream when doing that. We've seen them push these things around, create monsters, steer them in directions they should have never gone. Like Helene, the last one. It should have never curved back in the way that it did. It was actually diving into a jet stream because it came right over my neck of the woods, right where the jet stream goes through, and it eventually broke it up right over top of me here. We had cloud cover for 6 days. It was something crazy. Should have never done that. Some raw power had to be steering it that way, which can be done. They've shown it time and time again. In the clip that came off of the mainstream of lasers, they admitted it. Right there. There you go. For those that have to have a piece of mainstream to gobble up to accept it. Jeez, oh Pete's, man. Anyhow, it's there if you want it. Just go looking. Do a little bit of research. It's not a secret. Now, when the Carolina region got hit, there was a lot of talk about what was there. Why did the government just come out and claim the whole dang town of Chimney Rock and say they're going to bulldoze it all, eminent domain, including the bodies? No recovery efforts and process. It's sickening. Right? Just going to bulldoze it all. What do they want? We found out, and well, we know that one of the main roads and arteries goes to one of the biggest quartz mines out there. That's vital to everything we do. On top of that, the lithium. And when you see BlackRock and all the goons just like salivating at the mouth, rubbing their hands together, waiting to jump in on this, that's what they're doing. You're going to buy all the land up for cheap because it's now, before some of these areas like in Asheville and these places, they were considered the mountains impenetrable, never to take damage like from a hurricane that deep into the mountains. So now you can bet, because only 1% of the people had a type of insurance that they needed there, the insurance is going to go through the roof for these areas. That they're going to say it's climate. Right? You know it. So this all plays right into the hand. Tugent House. Guess what? Sits right in Florida, right where this Project Phoenix Hurricane 2.0 Milton is going. It's going right into the heart of Florida, right into the gut of it, where they have all of the white gold that you could ever want. And what is that? It's phosphate. Yep. Millions of tons of phosphate rock, which supplies nearly a quarter of the entire planet's demand for white gold that helps crops grow. Gold mine. Florida, home to one of the richest phosphate deposits in the world. And this has been known for about 140 years. They've been mining it and this and that. But I'm telling you, it's like when you get to these type of situations, it's like they've mined up large portions and they know that this thing extends further into certain areas, but they're not going to tell the people that. They're not going to tell them what's there. So you end up finding yourself in a crazy situation like we're in now, where a hurricane comes in and wipes everything out and runs all these people out. And what's the government going to do? Come in like they just did in Chimney Rock and say eminent domain? Take it all over. And in back-to-back hurricanes, they've literally targeted a handful of the most critical mines in our country. What are the odds of that? What are the odds? I don't believe in coincidences. This is strategic, if you ask me. Yeah, man. So just remember that. Now, the phosphate right there in Florida, as it gets wiped out, we're going to see. We're going to see. Just keep this in mind. Here's another one. They're talking about, actually, they mentioned in these articles, elevating it to a national security thing. Yeah. Yeah, they want to make this part of the critical minerals list. I don't know if you guys ever knew that that was even a real thing, but it is. All right, because this gets very real here. The critical minerals list, a compilation of resources deemed vital to our nation's economy and security. And that is what they want phosphate put into, and how important it is, man. So again, right at the heart, I can't get over some of this stuff, man. This is an attack. You can see what they're going after clearly. They think they think everybody here is stupid. We're not. Many have the eyes to see, but how do you fight back against this stuff? You need to set up your own HARP facility somewhere or something like that to counter it, to counter the energy. You see what I'm saying? Or something. Or just, like God's got to strike the place with lightning and destroy it. I don't know. They've got so many of these facilities all over the place. Weather modification. It's crazy. And look at this on the back end. There's the potential for Hurricane Nadine on a path to hit Florida right after this. You kidding me? Triple combo. Gonna come through with the 1, 2, 3. Are you kidding me? Now, there's a high chance here that it breaks up, but we've heard this stuff before. In the way that these things rapidly intensify, that's a sure sign of manipulation when you see that. Of them somehow, with their tech and what they're doing, firing up the inner core of, look, you could fly into the hurricane, which they do constantly to get readings, and you could drop a bomb in it, in the upper atmosphere, the right type of bomb. Just the right type of whatever to release heat. That in itself would fuel this. And they're experts at this point. They could drop all kinds of different ones down through it and fuel it at different rates. And so we get this thing really rocking, I'm telling you. And so many different factors at play. I was watching a system that was right out off the coast of Florida to see if it was going to stay there, because if it was going to push this thing north. But it pulled out to sea, which opens the door for Milton to kick out to sea, and hopefully Nadine here peters out. That's all you can hope for. So, again, prayers going out to everyone out there dealing with this storm. It's something I'm going to continue to cover. As we get information throughout the night, I'll continue to update. Make sure to follow me on X or Twitter for constant updates and footage. And tomorrow, I'll update on the situation as well. So I'm going to move on from the hurricane stuff and dive into some other news, because we've got a ton of other stuff going on. Elk fire in Wyoming now ravages almost 75,000 acres. And if you guys didn't know, and a lot of people have just been missing this one because of what's going on. And a much love to Tacos and D. White and all my cats that have been feeding me information. I've seen them talking in the chat about how it was really hazy and smoky out there in the parts. And it's because of this. I seen a map of it spread all over the place. And if it's not flooding and hurricanes and craziness in one spot, it's wildfires ravaging places. So it's a massive inferno. It's huge. What they call the elk fire right now. That's causing some issues. I wanted to mention that. Something good place getting ravaged. Just look at all these disasters, man. brought upon America. All right, I mentioned this before, that there was going to be a shortage of all these different things going on. But now we have a hospital group actually asking the government to declare a national emergency on an IV fluid shortage. Yeah. Now, this is because they were directly hammered and hit in North Carolina from the last hurricane. And I warned that this could disrupt the supply. And they're saying for sure that's exactly what's about to happen. So imagine that. You got disasters, people rolling in the hospitals. They need these IV fluids all over the place because it's a disaster, right? But this gets taken out. I mean, come on. Man, this is like, if these were military strikes, these are the type of places you'd be hitting. It's like that, right? Right? Because it is to me. I'm serious, and if people don't wake up, there ain't going to be nothing left. The thing is, you can't fight, you can't shoot back at a hurricane. So you got to find the little wizard that's whipping this stuff up, hiding behind the curtain, and where they're at. We already know their facilities and stuff like that. A lot needs to be done, man, but if there was a way, yeah, it's got to be stopped. The weaponry's got to be stopped. Keep it going here. Listen to this. This is a crazy story that will probably get overlooked largely because of everything going on with the hurricane. You heard about East Palestine. I told you about how they paid them off $600 million. We just had a guy go back up there and check the water out, and it's toxic as can get, and will continue to be for decades. Then we just had this biolab fire that kicked off. Took place in Georgia. Toxic, super toxic. And they never did announce the official list of every single chemical that came out of here. This, I'm telling you, was bad. This is just, it was right on par with Palestine. That bad. That bad. Well, a Georgia environmental official collapses and dies right near the Capitol soon as he walks out from testifying about this toxic biolab fire. Walks out from testifying about it and doesn't even get down the steps and around the block and goes down, collapses, dead. We don't have an official result. Let me turn it down here. Yet, we're waiting for an autopsy. Lowrider. Thank you for the comment and the coffees there. Wanted to point this out, though, that, dudes walk out of somewhere like this after testifying and drop dead, they even get to the car. Like, what? It's like a Scarface assassination type stuff. '60 GE scientists did the initial test of cloud seeding, came out and said so. Soon after, some of them went missing. Yeah, thank you for the information, Ryder. They go missing or just drop dead when they walk out of places. I'm telling you, we live in a crazy time, don't we, guys? It's nuts, man. God bless and much love to all you out there. We're in a war, guys. They're attacking us, and we got to pull together. We've got to pull together. It is that time. Get over the small stuff, the petty stuff. we got to get ready. Like full scale. Like we are in that critical window that we've talked about forever and ever. We're there. We're in that window. We're within 30 days leading up to election. Are you kidding me? Okay, check this out. I got another crazy one to throw in there. A flight from Seattle to Istanbul makes an emergency landing in NY, New York, after the pilot dies mid-flight. See people walking out of buildings dying, pilots dying mid-flight. Yeah. Insane. In update on X, it looks like Elon is back in Brazil after paying hefty fines. This is how they always get him. It's all about the money. They just want a chunk of that money he's got. They're the world's richest man. And this is how they get him. They hustle him. So it's a hustle. I mean, seriously. It's a large-scale hustle. These guys are hustling the world's richest man. And he said it before. He said that the United States and the SEC and all of them were doing the same thing to him. He's trying to go to space, and in his launches, he was just using water to hose it down, and there was nothing wrong with that. And he went through this whole huge court battle, and in the end, he proved that like there was nothing environmentally wrong with him using water. And they were like, "So, you never got a permit?" And he was like, "Oh." So this is all it ever was about, is you just wanting to get money out of me. And that's it. That's all it's ever about, right? It's true. So he called it out right there that that's what they were doing. And it seems that Brazil used the same tactic. They were like, "We're kicking you out of the country. No one wants to be there." And they were like, "You're going to pay. You're going to just pay. Give us some of that money. You pay some of the money, we'll let you back in." And he did. He paid and he's back in. Connecting to their 21.5 million users. That's a huge chunk of people around the planet tap back into, or to be completely blocked off from. It's nuts. But I'm telling you, it's crazy. Rob, thank you for that. Thank you for the super chat. All right. Here's an update. Internet Archive has been hacked. This is pretty wild. All these things happening, again, with this hurricane coming in, and I'm wondering if it's a release, a splurge of crazy information. Probably. Is the moon void, of course, as well? I mean, or what? What do we got going on here? But they're saying that the Wayback Machine and all the data connected to it or ever stored through it that holds 31 million mini linked to different places. All these users' information hacked through this, basically, through this breach. It's always something, right? It's always something new. Here is an update to anyone out there that's been taking this schizophrenia drug. They're linking it to pneumonia, a gut disorder. And the study is saying that this clozapine, a powerful medication for schizophrenia, is linked to an increased risk of mortality associated with pneumonia and severe gastrointestinal complications. So, heads up, if it's something you're taking or somebody you know is on schizophrenia drug. And all right, top of the hour exactly. Much love on that note. And I want to thank everyone out there that's just rolling in or just joining us. And those that share the stream. Again, get it out there in front of other eyes. And for all of you that have supported the channel in any way, appreciate it to the fullest as well. At me in the comment section if you've got information you need to get to me. Again, anyone that's in Florida, if you can hear my voice, and things are getting kind of crazy, holler at me in the chat. Let me know where you're at and what's going on. And the best we can do out here is send prayers to the fullest and spread the word of what's going on. So jumping into financials here real quick. It seems that there's something going on. They're again in damage control mode. And of all times, well, everyone's distracted again. They're trying to take the mask off of Satoshi Nakamoto. I don't think so. You know what that means? They would have to say that it's the NSA. Do they have the cojones? Does anyone? Oh, well, what do we have here? Who is Peter Todd? Well, HBO just ran a series and identified Peter Todd as being Satoshi Nakamoto, which is garbage. He did work on Bitcoin Core and key elements to it and with it. He did. We know that. So did a bunch of other people. That's why Craig Wright tried to claim that he was, because he had connections to the development of all this. It's cryptography. They were all into cryptography. So a lot of the beginning guys in this did have a role in developing certain things connected to it. But as far as who created the whole thing large scale, as for what it is, Bitcoin in itself, it was built. I told you this before. It was built on a hash that was made by the NSA. And that is who did it. That is it. Bottom line, they couldn't hide it. There was no way to. There was no way to do it. It's the fingerprint that they couldn't hide, because they had to build it on a certain technology. Well, who created that technology? They did. So that's a dead giveaway. Dead giveaway. We know all this. So some guys, again, tried to act like they're Satoshi, like Craig Wright, which got proven wrong in a court of law and everything else, that he's a liar. So they tried to say that Peter Todd is trying to pawn it off on him. But it's just not the case. That's just HBO, okay? We know who it is. It's the NSA full scale. So guess what? Another report here, because there's this debate. They talk about the release of this documentary right here. But they go on to say that there's basically two leading theories here, outside of the one I just told you. It's that Satoshi Nakamoto is cryptographer Nick Szabo. Or it is the NSA. It finally did it. Finally did it. Zero Edge, Tyler Durden, that you hide behind over here notoriously. You finally did it. You finally did it. Out of all the times you shilled Bitcoin and crypto and all this stuff over here, you did it. You at least kind of did it. Instead of doing it like we would, just saying it like bluntly, you put it in another option on the table, I guess, to like save your ass or something. I don't know. But muddy the water a little bit. But it's pretty obvious. HBO didn't even want to mention the NSA. But at least he took it here and he laid it out there. Like, how could you? The fact that they just wanted to skip over it and not mention it at all or anything like that, it's a possibility, made it rather obvious as well. But yeah, it's the NSA, and it's becoming more and more obvious, transparent, and known. And I believe at some point, probably around the time Bitcoin comes crashing down from its most recent highs, because there's always a major pullback in the bear market, that there'd be crazy information released on it. Who knows? Our government could try to say the Chinese made it. And if they did that, they could say it's a security threat. Then they could outlaw it. Any and all that. But they run it because they're the ones catching all these hackers that are ransoming people. Do you ever, again, if you got the eyes to see and you're paying attention, all these ransom dudes are wanting Bitcoin. And they're getting it. They're getting paid. And then they're getting busted. And they're telling us this. They're like, yeah, we just busted them and tracked them through all their Bitcoin. It's like, pfft, really? Really? Well, pfft, who wants to use Bitcoin? It's definitely not private and untraceable and untrackable or nothing like that. The government is tracking these dudes down and nailing them left and right. So how, government, are you doing that? How are you tracking them down? It's because you made it. You know, you got every back door. You got the inner workings. You're watching every move. You've watched their every transaction. It's a trap. And it only worked this whole time because they played it off like, oh, they didn't know who did it. They didn't know who made it. This mystery man, because no one would have ever accepted it if they'd just come out and been like, oh, the NSA just created this. Because they know how nefarious they are and what this ultimately leads to. So I think we're getting very close to the event. This is just another sign because the CBDC is going to be enforced and they're probably going to outlaw crypto in some form or fashion or attack it in some form or fashion. Maybe not, but crypto is... it's not going to save or fix the situation. You see, the government has made sure every bank, including yours, every single bank account out there has a cryptocurrency wallet in it. They've made this for sure. That wallet is sitting there waiting for this event. Now, if this event goes down, and it will, and everybody's money's frozen in their bank and they can't get it out, what are you going to do with Bitcoin? You can't even buy any Bitcoin because your money's frozen. Okay? You know the government wants you on a CBDC. That's the end game goal here, right? So this is where they step in. And they match your money. They match your money. This is what's going to get a lot of people to fall for it. They're going to simply say, we're going to give you, this digital version of what you got in your account. So basically, there's no loss. You can't get your dollars out because it's being held hostage, and they're doing it. But we're going to let you spend it, basically. It's giving you a card or a means to access your money. It's very simple. They're about to do it. It's all sitting there. They just need the crisis. They need to freeze your money in the bank. There's not a bunch of options here on the table about what the crisis can be. They need to freeze your money in the bank. Don't forget that. Hunter, thank you for the call phase. Just marinating on that. Back to you. Well, but thank you for the call phase. Gold going through the roof. And look at this. I told you every week I got one. Gold bars selling out at Costco all over the place, even as prices surge. Salutes to everybody out there riding the wave. Anybody got in gold and silver, back in 2017, you're making a killing off these moves, especially anybody long holding. I hold it all the way to 20,000, man, or beyond, man. This is gonna be a good ride, a good investment. I'm saying it has been already. It's already been worth its weight in gold. Joy, thank you for the coffees. Pure bloods all day to the end. You got that right. Much love and salutes. Okay, here we are, the moment of truth. Warren Buffett in this dumpathon that's been going down, that we've been watching, it tops 10 billion officially. And he's right there. He's like right there, near 10%, the non-reporting level. So he didn't cross it yet. We thought this last push would push him over. It didn't. He's like right there. So like one more report, and he'll probably it'll be in, which is going to be ominous because the moment that it's in, he can dump city like that day and not have to ever report any of it for months and months down the road. So we've been watching this, man. And remember, he's holding, what is he dumping? Bank of America shares. And why is he doing this? It's been the big mystery. Why all of a sudden is one of the biggest key players out there and holders of this doing this? All of a sudden. Why? Well, there's talk that U.S. banks, and this is factual, are caught up in a money laundering scheme involving China. And they took down TD Bank in Toronto, and they're saying that they're laundering a bunch of fentanyl money through the bank, and have been. And it tore the bank down. And they're saying there's a handful of big U.S. banks that are doing the same thing. As soon as this cat's out of the bag, even one name is mentioned, a panic is going to start and set in like you've never seen. Because TD Bank got crushed from this and still under ongoing investigation here. So at any moment when this is announced, if they say Bank of America is involved, their stuff will tank. Okay? Well, you think that this man wants to take that loss? No. I don't think he wants to take any banking losses. So what they're doing is they're exiting. That's why we're watching this stuff. Man, oh man. So imagine they come out one of these mornings and they're like, Bank of America and Wells Fargo banks are involved in this, and they start to tank. Sayo says, what's the EM1 channel? You know what? I haven't got one in concrete yet. I got emails on that. I appreciate the question. That was pretty quick. Was it last stream I told people to buy one? So for anyone that went out there and got one, I will get back to you on that. Hopefully this week. Okay. I've got one here. They got to test and run a test on it. And as long as the test goes through, then I can tell you for sure a channel. I don't want to tell you a channel and then hop on there for whatever reason and have some kind of issue. So let me get the test knocked out this week. And by next week, hopefully I'll have the channel. And I know that doesn't help right now. But I'm glad that you got one of them emergency radios. That is key. That is key, Sayo. So yeah, we're going to keep it pushing. Kamala Harris forgets to mute her mic as her handler feeds her the questions during a briefing. And she basically has her face and mouth covered and says, is this a live broadcast? Because they do so much fakery, so much filming and stitching stuff together. And they were like, yeah. And like, so she dropped her hands from her face and then started talking, but she forgot to mute her mic when she said this. And she looked pretty stupid covering her mouth and her face anyway. I mean, she is so handled. It's pathetic. I'm not even playing a clip. I can't stand to hear her. I gotta play another clip anyway of her. So you gotta hear her for 17 seconds here, unfortunately. And Joseph, thank you for the coffees. Much love right back. Hope you're relaxed in a recliner. Much love. Hey. So much chaos going down in the world. You know, got to find some peace and joy in there somewhere. So here is Kamala admitting that there's nothing that comes to mind that she could have done different throughout this whole thing. This was a loaded question. They got her. It just goes to show that nothing would change with her in there.
Well, if anything, would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind in terms of, and I've been a part of most of the decisions that have had impact.
That have had impact. Nothing comes to mind, you know? So all this stuff, you know, just pathetic. Here's an unhinged liberal activist claiming Michael Myers will cut Trump's head off tonight at the PA. I don't know what this maniac. Here, I'm going to play this clip here.
The whole then technically, why is he? We can talk. Why does he hate me? He does not smile at all. If he would smile, his face would crack.
Wait, what's Michael Myers? What'd you say about Michael Myers?
He's gonna come here tonight and he's gonna chop his head off.
Who?
Michael Myers.
I know, but whose head?
Trump's. He has a lot of people fighting for him.
You shouldn't threaten him, man. Wait, what's Michael Myers? What'd you say about Michael Myers?
He's gonna come here tonight and he's gonna chop his head off.
Who?
Michael Myers.
I know, but whose head?
Trump's. He has a lot of people fighting for him.
You shouldn't threaten him, man.
That's a federal.
So you got nutcases out there saying stuff like this, wearing a Michael Myers shirt saying he's going to show up tonight and cut Trump's head off and all this other stuff. Like, you just got loonies all over the place. I mean, just, I don't know. So when it comes to this election, they're focusing in on 6 Michigan counties that they say could decide who wins the election. So, you know, there's so many variables here, as you're about to see. I'm going to go through this and actually show you the Dems' plan here if Trump wins. Okay? Much love, cannons in the house. That's right. So remember, these 6 main counties going through the heart of Michigan, they're saying is going to be key in this. But then we know North Carolina is key. Very key. Okay? When it comes to these battleground states, all of them are key because you can manipulate just a handful or a couple of them and swing this whole thing. So what I mentioned last time, you wiped out North Carolina in all these areas. They can't vote. They have no infrastructure to vote. As that sheriff said earlier, they don't have cell phones. They don't have internet. They don't have nothing to do nothing. They literally have nothing. These people have lost everything. I still don't think that half of the people out there, and maybe some of you listening, understand how devastating this is. How much damage this is. How many people and pure towns no longer exist. the scale of it, you can only compare it to like Warzone. It's and as I say this, we're undergoing another attack right now. You know, almost like missiles are raining down or something. But no, you know, their weaponry is raining down on Florida right now, and it's getting a double whammy. So when it comes to North Carolina here, look what it says. It says that they had changed the election rules in this area. And I told you, I brought this question up. I'm like, what are they going to do? Is this going to drag the election out? So these adjustments include expanding voting sites. Okay. So people in displaced areas can get to them. Also extend voting hours, and really it should be 24/7 around the clock. Anybody that comes dragging themselves up the vote out of this mess after losing everything, and they say absentee ballot flexibility. Voters can now submit absentee ballots to any county's election board. And there's going to be teams out there to help collect the ballots. So those are the updates. They mentioned before maybe dragging this out, but hopefully they can get this thing squared away and not, who knows, drag this thing out for how long? So here, let's dive in. Here, all right, here we go. Let's dive into what I see is being very, very interesting setup right now, closing in on the election. Okay? There's a bunch of different scenarios that can unfold. If you don't know, the magic number is 270. Okay? 270. One of them got to hit it in terms of the electoral votes. If there's a tie or something, there's different procedures. I've talked about this in different videos. There's several different outcomes that can happen here. But since RFK's virtually dropped out at this point and thrown his support behind Trump, this makes a couple things happen here that's kind of crazy. Okay? So we know 270. It's okay. If Trump wins with 270 or more, which is likely as of right now, the fight will not be over. The Democrats have another trick up their sleeve. If the Democrats retake the House of Representatives on January 6, 2025, the new Democrat-controlled House could pass a resolution that Trump is an insurrectionist and disqualify his electoral votes under Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. And I told you this before. Kamala would not have 270. This would throw the election of the president to the House of Representatives voting as state delegations, not as individuals. Okay? Now, under the 12th Amendment, 1804, only Kamala Harris could receive votes for being the president, assuming Trump was disqualified and no other candidate won any electors at all because RFK dropped out. This is where it gets even crazier. And you can't say it can't happen because it's happened before. Look at this. J.D. Vance would suffer no insurrectionist disqualification. So the result could be that Kamala Harris is the president and J.D. Vance is your vice. Similar to Jefferson and Burr in 1800. Wow. Talk about a headbanger. That is nuts. If they get the House of Representatives, they could sit there and label him an insurrectionist under the law. Why would they not do it? I mean, it's right there on the table. It's in the open that we already see it before it happens. We thought throwing him in jail was a possibility. Maybe still is, but this looks to be the play. This looks to be the play, man. Yeah, you think it would ignite unrest? I mean, how? We've never even seen anything like this. Where the feathers of the two bird, the two wings of the same bird have to work together. Vice, like, I don't know, this is nuts. It's a crazy thing, but they're saying, man, it's highly likely. Wow. How, I mean, would he even? How? I mean, how do you... Where it gets so crazy. You knew we were going to come to some stuff like this, but... So this is like it says here. The bottom line is that when this election is over, it won't be over. And this is what we've always feared and known. If there was ever even going to be an election or what? Well, I just told you what they've got up their sleeve. Again. So let it be known. All right. We got Michael Cohen talking deranged crap, and it's guys like this that go on shows with Jen Psaki here and start spewing to the sheep. And they believe everything that he says, I guess, that Trump's coming to kill them all, to get them all. But here, play this clip.
What he says he intends to do. And when he turns around and says, Jen, to, like the head of this network or other people who are critics, that he intends to use SEAL Team 6 or the military within which to round up his critics or his opponents, he intends to do it. And I say that with firsthand experience.
What do you think happens to you if he wins?
Well, I'm out of here. I mean, I'm already working on a foreign passport with a completely different name. I don't know how it's going to work as far as dealing with my wife and my children. I certainly don't want them moving to where I'm looking to go. But I don't think yourself, the president of MSNBC, General Milley, Liz Cheney, how many people has he turned around and said that these are people that I intend to go after if I have the ability to? And the worst is the Supreme Court's recent decision that gave him immunity, presidential immunity. Now he thinks it's not only is it I can do whatever I want, but I can't even be prosecuted, to get out of jail free card solely for the president.
So you're out of here. You'd leave the country.
I have no choice.
You hear these guys saying and doing this stuff. We heard this stuff last time. And this guy's like, I don't want my family, my wife, and my children going where I'm going. Why would you not take your family? Where you're leaving the country. Why wouldn't you take them with you? Like, that makes no sense. This dude is just a weird dude. He always has been to me. But just one of them mouthpieces out there. Trying to paint this picture like if Trump gets in there, the end of the world's going to happen. And like, he's doing it while the end of the world is happening. So Rubino warning that chaos is coming. You've got all these guys putting these warnings out. He's just the latest. He's like, nah. He goes, there's going to be a catalyst in a market crash bigger than 08, 09. It's about to happen. And he's hoping it's a survivable chaos, but he doubts it. It's going to bring the whole thing down. All the guys are saying this. So, This guy doesn't even look real to me half the time. It looks like he's a character out of a movie here. This dude here. I don't know. So let's go to the war front. Check in on it here. The U.S. says they oppose a ceasefire in Lebanon. Can you believe that? So while all this crap's going on, they're flat out coming out and saying, we oppose you or Israel stopping bombing all these people that are in Lebanon. No, they just want to keep doing it. They urge Israel to degrade Hezbollah. So all these innocent people getting caught up in the mix, it continues. An onslaught. Ron Paul steps up and says, look, the American neocons are getting their Iran war as Congress sleeps, and this is where it's going. Yep. He says that one of our generals just arrived in Israel right now to coordinate with Israel and their military a plan to strike Iran. It's going down. This is where it's going. So, like, at what point do you look back and say World War III started? To me, it's like we're already there. Yeah. So Israel mulling attacks on Iran's energy sites. Why would you even tell the world what you're going to do, though? They said that they would hit their nuclear sites as well. So oil spikes. Look at this. Oil jumps big on this. Stuff people got to watch, because the next thing you know, the price of everything going through the roof. Look at that. That's a huge jump. Turkey. How will they respond to this? In this whole war in Lebanon. Because they're barking and barking and barking in Israel and saying that they're warmongers. And they were with the United States and all that, and we had weapons in there, but now they're like this sliding over to the BRIC side with China and Russia, and it's crazy. And they'll back Syria here. I mean, all of them will. They're all going to come into the fray. Israel's popping off shots all over the place, dude. It's like on. This whole 7-front war, it's going to war with all these countries. And I'll say Turkey's one of them. Because they didn't name a couple. Turkey's definitely one of them. So you're going to have all these countries against Israel. I mean, Israel just hit a Russian supplies in a port in Syria. Russia could hit Israel. It's nuts. North Korea jumping up and saying that they become a nuclear military superpower. That's what they're claiming. Rocket Man. In the meantime, Seoul is alleging that North Korean troops are being found dead. They're getting killed, fighting on the front lines and dying in Ukraine. Just shows everybody's got the troops down here on the front line. I mean, just the Israel striking the Russia stuff in that port. I mean, it just crossed over right there. It just shows you that, like, who's against who, full scale. So, yeah, they're finding North Korean troops amongst the dead. Let's go to Paris, France. They're prepping their troops for World War III, flat out. Thousands of French soldiers arriving in Romania, simulating combat with Russia. So it's heating up big time. A lot of these other NATO countries and European countries is getting their troops primed. And once this happens, I mean, what do you say then? I don't know. Again, at what point? And look at this. We know that all this stuff is corruption. And they're sending U.S. dollars over to Ukraine. It's getting money laundered and all this. But look at this. A corrupt Ukraine official, his son, found lying in bed with huge sums of money, like $6 million seized, and saying that they're part of this medical fraud thing. So, like, money just getting laundered, passed around in there big time. And here on the home front, we have an Afghan national that got caught. And look, with all the people flooding across the border, it's like, okay, you want to put emphasis on this guy. This Afghan national who entered the U.S. on a special visa is being charged with plotting an election day massacre. So this drops the seeds, plants the seeds in the minds of the masses of such a thing even happening. An election day massacre. Seeing that this guy came in and was plotting to go with 2 AK-47 rifles and 10 magazines and make a move and attack. But an undercover FBI informant busted him and caught wind of it. Yeah. So, funny how he was just right there within proximity of an undercover asset, FBI informant. Like, look, what the, like, dude, every time. Let's go down to the border real quick. Because this is bad. Unfortunately, the guy that you see here in this image, he was the mayor in a state in southern Mexico. His head has been cut off and left on a vehicle. And they're getting insane, lawless, crazy. And it's right across the border. When you look at the most dangerous places on the planet for journalists and everything else, it's right across the border. It's not all these other war fronts across the planet. It is right here. That is crazy. Dude, it's about to pop off. And when it spills over and goes down full scale, I guess that's what they're going to try to call the Civil War. It won't be the Civil War of what you think. It's going to be these fakes, these invaders coming in and fighting us real Americans. And they're going to say that's Civil War. I mean, in essence, it's their new people they're trying to bring in to replace us during this great replacement versus us. I mean, come on. Letting them in here, housing them, everything. Giving them licenses, letting them become police officers. It's insane. Murderers sliding right on in. So this is crazy. This guy promoted peace, and because he did not do anything but promote peace, they simply killed him, took him out, cut his head off, and left it as an example to everyone else that, like, you do what we say or you'll get the same. So this is really crazy warlord type stuff that's happening. Yep. And America's falling apart. Period. It's sad. I think I'm gonna fire up the radar Omega real quick before we shut this down. Take a quick look in on the hurricane stuff since it is an ongoing situation here. Go ahead and exit these down. And I've got the chat open, and hopefully Omega fires here. It's not wanting to. I don't know why it's not wanting to load there. Try it one more time. Amen. In the house. Check up here real quick on the alerts. No tornadoes at the moment compared to what we seen earlier. That's amazing. You don't want those nighttime tornadoes. It's bad enough that this is going on right now. Just adds to the chaos and put this in motion. As the hurricane has made landfall. It's made landfall. Expected to kick out over here near Cape Canaveral. So, could pick steam back up to a Cat 1 when it gets out here, but again, it's going to be going out to the ocean. And it's going to be a rough night. No way about it. Anyone out there that decided to stay or had to stay, again, they're in prayers. Yeah, I know we're going to wake up tomorrow morning. This thing's going to be going past Cape Canaveral. And it's just going to be a trail of devastation. Tampa, the Four Corners, all the way up to Orlando. And again, remember, some of these areas, like outside of Orlando, they got hit with tornadoes earlier that did damage. So imagine these areas that got hit with tornadoes and got just thrashed, pounded. Now the hurricane's coming in. Like, are you kidding me? It's going to be a lot of devastation, I'm telling you. It already is. So, again, prayers going out to everybody out there that needs them. Yeah, it is. It's Radar Omega. That's the name of it. Right up in the top left-hand corner, Radar Omega. It's a site that does good in tracking all the stuff and picking up. Zoom in here. Unique stuff like live streamers and everything else tied into it. Can't even see that one. Doubt we're going to be able to see much because it's nighttime. There's Connor. You see his headlights at least. Hurricane rain. It's about as much of a visual as you're going to see tonight, lit up like that on the highway. So yeah, I mean, that's a last look. Oh, it finally decided to go to the full screen. It wouldn't let me any of the streams. See the waves coming in. Man. Wow. Yeah, again, prayers going out to everyone out there. And where's he at? Lakeland, Winter Haven. Lakeland, Winter Haven. Gorilla Omega. Thank you. Much love. I want to thank everyone that sent a super chat tonight. Everyone that bought a coffee. Everyone that shared the stream. I want to thank everyone out there that helps others. That gets out there, helps their neighbor. and continues to do good. A lot of people will need help after this. And yeah, it looks like Steve just dropped a list of live stream cams. If anyone wants to check them out, I'm not going to. A lot of times they're just set up, especially if they're a YouTube link, they'll just give me a copyright strike. Unfortunately, that's how they do and how it goes. But you guys can feel free to click on it and check out some of them streams there. Thank you. I appreciate that, brother. I'm going to go ahead and shut it down here for the night on this stream. I'll be on top of this tomorrow. The aftermath of all this is exiting. And I'll be tweeting out information, let's just put it that way. Updates. Probably look to kick out a video update sometime tomorrow afternoon. And just make sure you're following me on X, so you're catching all the latest and breaking stuff that's popping off. So yeah, if you missed it, I have a stream I did earlier before this with all the tornadoes popping off in all the areas that was hit. Again, tomorrow, when the sun comes up, it's just going to be devastation everywhere because tornadoes done wrecked a lot of these places before the sun even went down. Now this hurricane's going to come in and just devastating. Just again, prayers hanging with everyone that needs it tonight, man. Being thoughts. Much love to everyone out there, all the mods, all the crew. And yeah, we'll take us out of here and shut it down. If you need me, email me, hit me up on X. And again, much love. I'll be back. The next one, I'm always going live Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern. Hope to see you guys on the next one. Much love.